So today I want to talk about essentially why I believe God exists. I don't know that God exists. To know, as as I'm using the word, is to have absolute certainty that God exists. Absolute certainty meaning you've examined every possible outcome. You've examined every possible possibility of what people might believe about God, meaning, and you can disprove all of them, and you know with certainty, and you have all of the proof that exists that God, the Christian God of the Bible, exists. That's what I mean by know. So I don't know that God exists, but I look at the evidence. I look at I look at the evidence in front of me and I say, okay, there is a universe that is immensely and the cosmos that are immensely complex. And I think that somebody designed it. I look at a suit and I think somebody tailored it. I look at a computer and I think there was a nerd behind it. I'm a computer science major, so I can say that. And I look at a bed and I think somebody designed it. I don't think that a tornado ran through a lumber yard and it got assembled in the middle of the lumber yard. Somehow all of the boards got broken to the perfect size, something like that. I think that somebody made it. So the evidence is for a creator for a suit, or a creator for a bed, or a creator for a computer, that they are immensely complex, and therefore cannot be designed by random chance. I look at a pile of folded clothes, and I don't think that when they came out the dryer, they were just folded. I think somebody folded them. There is no amount of times that you could put your clothes in the dryer and they come out folded. It's not possible. And so I believe somebody designed the universe. Why do I think it's the Christian God and not Allah and not Buddha, etc.? Because the evidence suggests that Christ rose from the dead. These people, these apostles, these followers of Jesus were martyred. They were murdered for professing that Christ rose from the dead. There's no incentive there, power, money, etc. Why do I think it's the Christian God? Because when we look at other accounts, the Christian account has more evidence, is what I'll say. When I want to research a historical figure, say Jesus Christ of Nazareth, I look at what people have to say. Muhammad, who lived 600 years after the death and resurrection of Christ, alleged resurrection, and he said that those gospels are wrong. And when I say, okay, show me the real ones, he says we can't. They were destroyed. But I want the eyewitnesses. I don't want some account from 600 years later that was allegedly revealed by the angel Gabriel. I want the eyewitnesses when I research a historical figure. To prove that for me to believe that George Washington was the first president, I look at the eyewitnesses. People that saw him in office, people that saw him elected, etc. I don't look at some account from 600 years later that he was indeed the president. So the so I look at So I don't know. I don't know in the sense that I have looked at every single piece of evidence. I have examined every single perspective on God, but I look at the evidence that I have. The evidence suggests that there was a designer to the universe. I look at the complexities of the human body, and I say there was a designer. The human eyeball is immensely complex. There's no amount of random chance that could generate it, the same way that there's no amount of random chance in a lumber yard that a bed could be created. It's just not possible. It requires a mill. It requires a saw. It requires a designer who drew up the bed and made it. So I can't prove it. I can't prove it in the sense that I've examined everything. I once had a very important conversation with an atheist that really agnostic that really defined my faith. He said, "My tattoo is a question mark." He saw the tattoo on my arm of a cross, and he said, metaphorically, my tattoo is a question mark. You don't know that God exists. The same way atheists can't prove that God doesn't exist. You don't know this. And so he goes, how sure are you that you know God exists? And honestly, at the time, it stumped me. I was like, that's a good question. But as I thought about it later, I was like, 0%. I don't know that God exists. I believe God exists. So I can't prove it. The same way I can't prove that I have a brain between, that somebody has a brain between their ears. But I look at the evidence. They've dressed themselves. They have motor function. They can move. They can read. They can write. So I've never seen their brain. I've never touched it. Never smelled it. Never heard it move or anything like that. But I look at the evidence, and it suggests that there's a brain between somebody's two ears. It's very simple. The complexities and the order of a thing is the evidence that dictates design. Why the Christian God? Let's elaborate on that more. The Bible is the best-selling book in the world. It's been around for 2,000 years. Many have tried to find contradictions. Many have tried to find historical inaccuracies. Yet, it is still the best-selling book in the world. It has not been disproven yet. And if it could be, nobody would take it seriously. The same way nobody takes Pastafarianism seriously, Scientology, etc. So that's the evidence. I look at the evidence that God exists. That's why I believe. So I can't prove it. I don't know it. I believe it. Stay blessed, y'all.